Hello, I am Jordan. I am starting a video series around this idea of enlightenment. I'm just an average guy. I'm not, the old cliche old guy with a beard in the woods. I'm certainly not gonna tell you that I am enlightened, but the topic has always been of interest to me, and I feel I am on the path, if you will. So this video series is going to be about my personal experiences, general discussion. Maybe, if anyone ends up having questions, I could address that. So since this is the first video, it'll be more of an introduction, obviously. The cornerstone, to me, of enlightenment and my interest in it is this idea of the experience. Okay, what do we mean by that? As conscious human beings, while we engage in life, how we interpret these events differs among people. We have different emotions, different feelings, different memories. Now, the best way to really understand this experience idea better is through an example. So let's say we have three best friends, and they're going to this rock concert together, their favorite band. Let's say friend one, his mother just died a few days earlier, and let's assume they had a good relationship. He didn't hate her or anything. Let's say friend two, he just got married a week earlier, and let's assume that he's happy in his marriage thus far. And friend three, nothing major has happened in his life lately, so he's relatively happier, so it seems. Now they're at this rock concert, and chances are friend one, who just lost his mother, isn't going to be having a very good time. Friend two, who just got happily married, is probably having a really good time. And friend three is probably having an average time, whatever you want to, consider that as. Now, clearly, we now see that even though they're at the same rock concert, experiencing the same sounds, around the same people, same weather, same everything else on the outside, their experience of that event is different. And so we see that outside life, how we interpret it and feel about it and experience it, is greatly influenced by our internal makeup, conditioning, whatever you want to call it. Now that's just looking at surface events, if you will, recent events. It's easier to follow. But if we look deeper, we see that more distant events can also influence our experience, and this is probably much more important. Let's say friend three, the last time he's seen that band was with his ex-girlfriend, and they broke up after the concert. So before, we assumed he was having an average time. Now, maybe he's having memories of her. Maybe he misses her. And now all of a sudden, maybe he's not really having that great of a time at that concert. So now we see that not only are recent events influencing our experience, but very distant events are influencing our experience. And how does this relate to enlightenment? Well, enlightenment very likely entails an evolution of how we experience reality. Now, many people use this term baggage, if you will. and it tends to be associated with the negative, so to speak, whatever negative means. You know, you'll hear it, oh, don't get involved with this person, they have a lot of baggage, you know. So really, intuitively, we already on some level understand this idea of the experience, because we avoid people with a lot of baggage, don't we? Because intuitively we know that that person's experience of life is probably going to be dampened, maybe even negative, maybe even depressed. So we avoid them. I'm not saying that's necessarily what we should do. I'm only observing how people behave. And that's really what this comes down to, is observing your thoughts, observing others, observing your experience. Because let me say that there's certainly no shortage of religions and gurus and leaders, and the issue I have with a lot of these is, you know, you have to read all these books or follow these rules. You know, it's very monastic and dogmatic, you know, and a lot of it simply, especially if you have, you know, a busier life, a lot of it won't really change your life and experience much. And why is that? If you think back to when you were in high school or college, you probably don't remember, you know, chapter 4 of social studies in 10th grade, or, you know, Freud's, you know, theories in psychology in your first year of college. You probably don't really remember that stuff, do you? Because it's mechanical. It's simply trying to remember something. What do you remember in high school and college? You probably remember your prom, or if you were picked on, or the first person you went on a date with, or, you know, any other, you know, event, like your first homecoming. So why do we tend to remember those things and not, you know, chapter 4 of social studies? We might have even spent more time on chapter 4 of social studies, and time in terms of time and effort, the studying, the reading. So it's not necessarily a time thing. The difference is emotion. When you went to that homecoming or asked somebody on their first date, you experienced emotion. And when you experience emotion, that's what tends to stick into your conditioning, into your mind, and influences your experiences for years and years to come, maybe even your whole lifetime. You know, some people a single event shapes their entire life. And so getting back to religions, it's almost, we can think of it like a metaphor like that, you know, chapter 4 of social studies, that you're reading these texts, listening to these people talk, but there's not much emotion to it, and that's why it's not going to shape your life. So really, to make a fundamental change in your life, move towards enlightenment, whatnot, you have to give emotion to things. And I will certainly get into that in other videos, along with meditation and some other observations. But overall, I'm very against, you know, remembering rules or following a tradition. I'm very much about simply observing yourself and the experience, and let's take it from there. And this video is simply me discussing my own personal views on that. Nothing will make a fundamental change in you unless it comes from within. So hearing me could maybe inspire you to look within, or say, oh yeah, that makes sense, or whatever. And that's it, really. So I think for this first video, I will wrap that up, and I look forward to further videos. Thanks.